Welcome to the tutorial on how to create your first plan using ArcGIS Urban. To begin, you will start by opening the Boston example and then choose the Western Avenue plan. If you haven't created a copy of the plan for yourself yet, you might see the blue button appear at the top prompting you to do so before proceeding further. Once you have your own copy, you can save the link and return to the plan later. This plan will be the basis from which we dive into many different areas of Urban's functionality. Now let's talk about scenarios. Scenarios are a key feature of Urban. They allow you to switch back and forth to test different design iterations, or you can show how a plan will develop over time. In Urban, you can create as many scenarios as you need and compare them. There are 5 main tabs in Urban's plan editor: Details, Zoning, Development, Dashboard, and Discussion. Click the Development tab if you don't have it open already. Here you will see a list of space uses that are present in the active scenario. You can tell which scenario is active by the color blue. Let's create a new scenario. Then use it to further build out a proposal for a site. Click the 3 dots to the right of the scenarios listed. This will bring up the Configure panel. Here we will choose Add Scenario. Give your scenario a name. We will base our new scenario on the existing conditions. To finish, click OK. Your new scenario will now show up at the bottom of the list. These can be rearranged as needed. When you are happy with the order, click OK. Urban will now make a copy of the existing conditions for your new scenario. This will now appear as the active scenario at the top. To edit the space use of the plan, select Apostle. Then choose Modify and apply building type. Let's choose the high-rise residential option from the list. Clicking on it will apply the building type to the Apostle. By clicking on the name in the panel, you can open up the building type editor and make changes as needed. These building types are one method of allocating space use to the plan. They respond dynamically to the zoning code. In this example, you can see that the building will create as many floors as possible, up to 200. Close the building type editor. With Apostle selected, you can see the allowed regulations and compare these to what has been built. Let's test a new proposed zone for the area that limits the maximum height and see how this will affect our new building. Click the Zoning tab at the top. You will now see a list of zones that exist within this scenario. The zone named Commercial CC1 is currently applied. Click on CC1 in the list, then choose More Details. Here you have the option of editing the existing zone type. Since we want to propose a new zone, click the button in the bottom left to create a duplicate. Give it a unique label. Then give your new zone a name. Let's keep the current color to remind us of the base zone and choose a diagonal fill. Click on the Parameters tab. This is where you can set custom values for the new zone. Some values exist already, based on the previous CC1 type. Let's lower the maximum height of this new zone to 100 feet. When finished, click OK. Now we will apply the new zone. Click on the red zone district next to your site. Then select the Modify button. From the drop-down list, select the new zone. Then click OK to apply it. The diagonal hatched pattern will show up on the ground, and the new maximum height value will be listed in the pop-up. Return to the Development tab and select your site. You will now see that the building height exceeds the new allowed height. When this discrepancy occurs, you will see a small warning appear. To correct it, you can choose to reapply the current building type. This will cause the building to reduce in height, but you may see an increase in the total footprint of the building as it attempts to maximize the floor area ratio. You can also manually edit the building. With the Apostle selected, double-click on the Apostle itself. This will open the Space Editor. Select the ground floor of the proposed building. When a floor is selected, you can edit the geometry with a series of tools available in the blue menu. Click on the Move Edges button. Since the ground floor is selected, this allows you to adjust the edge of the entire building. When you mouse over the edge, 2 arrows will appear, showing the direction the edge will travel. Click and drag the edge to make the overall building footprint smaller. You can also change the space use type of the ground floor. Using the panel on the right, click the 3 small dots next to Residential Multifamily. Then select Retail from the list. The ground floor will increase in height. This is based on the default floor height of retail. Next, let's add additional retail along the main street. To draw new building space by hand, select the button with the small cube on it. I'll start my new building by first snapping to the corner of the existing building. Then go about 100 feet before clicking a second time on the edge of the building. Now I can start to square off the rest of the structure by snapping to the 90-degree mark. With a final double click, I finish my building. In this tutorial, you successfully created a new scenario in the Western Avenue plan. First, you applied a building type, and then made its own change in order to test a proposed height limit. You then learned how to manually edit the building itself and draw new space use from scratch. Now that you have a solid understanding of the basics, you can continue editing the plan. Follow along with the next tutorial and get started with your own free trial of ArcGIS Urban today.